What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Team Member Perspective Podcast Show. I am Colter, your host, and with this episode, I want to talk about morning routine. I want to talk about personal development and the role that has played in my success and how I have seen it help me in my life. So, a little backstory. I wasn't always an advocate of a morning routine, of personal development, because in my mind, I just thought like it was just so cliche. Like, you're telling me that this morning routine and this personal development, it's going to help me to sell more policies? I don't think it's going to. But what I do think is going to help me sell more policies is if I work harder. I show up and I make more phone calls and I talk to more people and I get better at my conversations and I become a student of the game as far as selling. And if I just do more, I'm going to get more out. And that was kind of my mindset for a long time. Leading up into insurance, I had done door-to-door sales, which I think kind of gave me this confidence that if you just work hard and you just knock a bunch of doors, you're going to eventually get lucky. And the more that you knock, the better that you're going to become. And that was the case for me. I started to see success in being able to actually sell, being able to see my skill set in communicating with people and talking with them and developing a relationship with them improved. And my ability to deal with rejection and just stay consistent there, I mean, it totally helped me. I saw those quick improvements in what those skills did for me. And really where it all came back to was I just was working hard. It's when my mind, when I first started insurance, I had the mindset like, look, I know I can be successful here if I just simply work hard. If you were to talk to me about personal development at that point in my life, I would have probably listened to you, but then in my mind been like, yeah, whatever. Like, I can just work harder than you and I know I'll be successful. That was kind of my mindset. Personal development was not always part of what I was doing in my life, and I didn't really believe it was going to help me get better. Well, things didn't really change for me until I had been working with my agent for, I think it was like a year and a half, 2 years. So I started to develop a relationship with the agent Tyson I was working with, and he became a mentor in my life. And the way that he was thinking and the way that he would see things in me, I'm forever grateful for the impact that he's had in my life. But I started to develop this relationship with him. And one Christmas, he gifted me, as well as all of our team, the Miracle Morning book by Hal Elrod. And this was kind of when things started for me. And leading up to this, guys, I had just finished college and I was kind of burnt out from studying, if I'm being honest, and reading books. That the last thing that I ever wanted to do was read, right? I just was like kind of in a point in my life where I was like, oh, I get this break and I don't have to study anymore. Boy, was I wrong. But that's where I was at. He gives us this book and he basically prefaces and says, look, like personal development has changed my life. And I feel that this book can help us here in the agency work better as a team, but help each of you individually to just get better and elevate what we're doing in the office. And so because I had this trust and I had this Tyson had this credibility with me, I decided like, let's try this out. Let's read this book. I get into this book and the author Hal Elrod, he essentially teaches his morning routine, and his morning routine consists of about 6 things that he does. And he has an acronym, so it's really easy to remember, which he calls SAVERS. The S stands for scribing, so he journals every day. A stands for affirmations. V stands for visualization. E stands for exercise. R stands for reading. And S stands for silence. So he does all of these 6 things every single day in his morning routine. So I'm reading this book, I'm getting into it, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like maybe we should actually try this out. So I decided like, let's implement this morning routine and just give it a shot. And an inside look into Colter's mind is I crave progress. I want to get better, and I was hungry. I am hungry. But looking back, I was producing at a decent level about year 2 in. I was writing a lot of P&C, a lot of health, but my life insurance production was very poor. And in my mind at the time, I just thought, look, if I just work harder than everybody else and I have more life insurance conversations and I get better at the conversation and just develop my sales skills further, then I'll be more successful. That's how I'm going to improve. Personal development didn't make it into my mind. It didn't at all. And honestly, if people would talk to me about it and say, hey, Colter, you should work on yourself harder than you're working on your business. When I was told that, it would kind of go in one ear and out the other. Like I didn't really feel like that was for me. Well, I get in this book and I decide, okay, like, let's try it. What's the worst that could happen? So I start implementing this morning routine, and I started out and I would wake up 30 minutes before I would go to the gym, because going to the gym and exercising was always part of what I did because I noticed the benefits of being able to have a clear mind when I'd show up to work and just kind of getting into the day and having something that helps me and sets me up before instead of just showing up to the office and getting my day going then. I saw benefits of that. So I was doing that, but I decided, okay, let's wake up a little bit earlier and let's do some journaling. Let's do some affirmations. Let's do some visualization. Let's do some reading, and let's try meditation. And it was interesting doing this. And I really love the book because it really helped me understand what I could do with journaling to actually see benefits from it and to be effective with it. What I could do to actually structure an affirmation that actually helps. And it's not just this hollow thing that I'm saying to myself and it's not actually true and it's not actually helping me. It taught me how to visualize. And visualization has been part of my life. When I was playing baseball, I had coaches and people in my life. They're like, Colter, you need to learn how to visualize. And before you go to bed, you need to visualize yourself stepping up to the plate and just seeing the ball clearly hit the bat and you hitting it into the gap. Or you need to visualize yourself throwing strikes and striking people out and fielding the ball cleanly. And visualization, it wasn't like an unknown concept to me. Like it was somewhat familiar, but I'd never been successful at it. I would try to visualize and then my mind is just bouncing everywhere. I tried meditation and my mind cannot stop. I just couldn't figure out how to do it early on in my life, but this book helped me. Miracle Morning helped me, and it gives tactical things that you can do to actually visualize effectively, to actually how to journal to where it's beneficial. I started to get these tips and things and started to do this morning routine, and pretty early on, guys, I started to see some tangible results, which is so interesting. As I developed these affirmations, it was going to my third year that I started to really take this seriously. And my first and second year in selling life insurance, I wrote 10 life apps a year. My third year, I wrote 123. And my third year was the year that I actually started to take this seriously and have this morning routine. I developed these affirmations that I would read to myself every single morning that allowed me to just really kind of get my mind where it needed to be, which is just so interesting. It helped me start think differently and start thinking about what I wanted instead of what I didn't want. Some of the affirmations that I would read to myself every day were, I'm going to be the best life insurance salesman in the state of Utah. I read that to myself every single morning. And this didn't all start until I was introduced to this Miracle Morning book. And if anything, guys, it just helped me to keep that in my mind. And I'll tell you, I cared about that more than anybody else. I wanted to make a name for myself. I was hungry. I wanted to get noticed and set myself and my family up for the life that we wanted to create. I would tell myself that money comes to me in expected and unexpected ways. So I'd tell myself these affirmations, and I started to have experiences where little things like there was one time that for no rhyme or reason, agent invited me to his office and he's like, Colter, super impressed with what you're doing. I love your commitment to success, and I love that the energy that you bring into our office, and you're crushing it, man. I want to give you a raise. That blew my mind. It felt like it came out of nowhere, and I had only been doing this morning routine for a few weeks, but to see that happen, and then another one of our tax return. I mean, this is small, but it started to kind of shape the way I was thinking about things. Our tax return was way bigger than I ever thought it would be. So more money came to me in an unexpected way. I was getting a raise that in my life had never really happened that quickly. I was getting this tax return that was than I had expected, but I was also starting to sell more policies. I started to actually get into a spot where I was in this groove where I was writing policies very consistently. And my third year, I did finish number one in the state of Utah, which is so fun. But it all started with taking my personal development seriously and having a morning routine where I could do journaling, where I could do affirmations, where I could do visualizations, exercise, reading. I started to read books. After this Miracle Morning, I kind of got thirsty for more. I read a lot of books and I started to implement and I started to see benefits that when I would read in the morning and when I would listen to podcasts and audio, I could start the day off on a positive note. I could fill my mind full of positive things. And what I noticed is when I would show up to work, I'm in a very good attitude. I'm very positive attitude, and I'm hungry to go out and just take massive action. It started to become easier for me to take action and be consistent consistent with that action when I would do this in the morning to set myself up in the right way for the day. And there were times where I didn't do my morning routine and I wanted to sleep in a little bit more, and I would just show up to work, and I started to notice how much this morning routine was truly helping me. That those days that I would sleep in and kind of slack on that morning routine were the days that I would show up to work, to the office, and I'm dragging. It is hard for me to be positive. It's hard for me to be proactive and make outbound calls, make appointments for myself, pivot to financial services. It was harder for me to do that on the days that I didn't do my morning routine versus on the days when I did. Then it became like, holy cow, like now this is kind of a non-negotiable for me. And there was a point in my life that I was waking up at 4:30 in the morning to have about an hour and a half to really go through all of these savers because I saw how much it benefited me, right? Now, guys, don't get me wrong. It's not like I have sustained the 4:30 in the morning thing, but there was a season of my life where that was important to me, and I did it and I was consistent with it. And I felt like it set me up and it helped me grow on a deeper level. In my morning routine now, it's totally evolved. It's changed. Now I have 2 kids, whereas at the time I didn't have any. Things have changed a little bit there, but having some sort of morning routine where what I can do every day and be consistent with that helps me prepare myself mentally for the day and sets myself up in a very successful way. That I know if I can truly just do this, it's going to set me up to have positive thoughts. I'm thinking positively right out of the gate from the day. And it allows me to set myself up to be able to be more proactive with my action and stay resilient and not let the early no's discourage me. It gave me this armor to go and attack the day and just continue to commit to the action, continue to commit to keep on showing up. And stuff started to change very rapidly for me. And after that, I wrote 231 life apps the next year, 251 the next year, and then over 200 the following year. And it was awesome. And I attribute a lot of going from this plateau to now continuing to see myself get better and better to establishing a morning routine that I could follow consistently. So highly, highly recommend the Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. If you do not have a morning routine, try it out. Find something that works for you and just show up and be consistent with that. I promise you're going to see consistency spill into your production as a team member. You're going to see consistency spill into your life, and life will change in the most beautiful way. I'm forever grateful for Tyson, for his mentorship, and for him kind of kickstarting my personal development journey by simply just gifting me this book. Now my commitment is to pay it forward. I've seen how that has changed my life. My gift to you is go pick up the Miracle Morning book, get into it, establish a morning routine, and watch what happens with your production, your financial life, and your life in general. It's going to change, and I'm excited to hear from each of you how you do that. So guys, again, personal development, work on yourself harder than you work on your business. I believe in that full-heartedly because I've seen it. I have this proof that it's totally changed my life, and I know it can change yours as well. So appreciate you guys for tuning into the podcast. If you have found any of these episodes helpful, you have seen an improvement in your mindset or in your production, if you would please leave us a review, like the show, subscribe. That would mean the world to us. The only way that we grow is when you share this with your agent friends, with your team members. So that is my only ask, is if this has helped you, leave us a review, like the show, subscribe, and then share it with someone in your position that you feel like could benefit. That would mean the world to me. Appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you in the next episode.